Whatever is happening with these things called cryptocurrencies is insane. It still feels like it's not real. How much do you think Bitcoin's price was exactly a year ago? Less than $7,000. Within a single year, the price skyrockets to $60,000. It's floating somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. Just 5 years ago, in 2016, the price of the Bitcoin was less than $450. These kinds of moments push you think twice after whatever you are investing in the right assets or not, because $10,000 or $20,000 investments in Bitcoin would have turned into the multimillionaire today. You could have purchased a Ferrari and start making the YouTube videos where you could say no judge, that's supposed to be a joke. It's very uncertain where the crypto price is headed now. Honestly, at this point, I would be surprised if Bitcoin crossed $100,000. I remember back in 2017, everyone was freaked out about how on earth Bitcoin was $15 or $18,000. Little did they knew that was 2021 have prepared for us. If you are feeling bad for missing the opportunity to invest in Bitcoin 5, 7, or 8 years ago, then let me introduce you to the James Hall else. He is a software developer who was one of the few early users of Bitcoin. When mining Bitcoin was super easy, he used to mine a lot of from the bedroom using his personal computer. Now you can, since the network has grown so much that you need a huge computer warehouse to mine even a single Bitcoin. Back then, he mined over 7,500 Bitcoins from his little bedroom. He believed in this idea but had no clue that his hard drive soon will worth a fortune. Back then, Bitcoin wasn't exciting as today. It was only used to the dark web to exchange illegal goods. So when he was cleaning up a house, he thought that the hard to take out all the information from the hard drive, including his bitcoins, but he didn't. So he ended up throwing that disk with over 7,500 bitcoins. Somewhere in the world, here is the hard drive with assets on the Bitcoin's wallets with 7,500 Bitcoins that worth over $427 million. This guy was sitting in a pile of virtual gold. He threw away almost half of the $1 million. Just imagine for the moment how bad is he feeling. He has stopped at one lifetime opportunity. He did everything he could to take advantage out of it and then threw it away in the garbage with his own hands. He is only going to feel worse as the price Bitcoin keeps rising, but he is not the only one. Stefan Thomas also has a wallet with over 7,000 Bitcoin, but he forgot his 12-word password. Back in 2011, he produced an animated videos explaining how digital currency works. For his effort, Bitcoin enthusiasts awarded him 7,002 Bitcoins. And right now he has a fortune of the almost $400 million that he can't access because he doesn't remember his key. Whatever you have the bad day, just remember these guys. I don't think you can mess up more than that these guys did. However, not everything is sunshine and rainbows when it comes to cryptocurrency, because everything that rises will eventually fall. Whatever it cryptocurrencies, the stocks market or the real estates or any other assets. We have already experienced one cryptocurrency crash at the end of the 2017, and it seems like we might experience another one to this year or in the foreseeable future. Of course, it's impossible to predict anything because the future is unknown and whoever claims to know the future is lying. But if we just keep look at the fact on the ground, we might be able to make the reasonable predictions based on the current circumstances. So let's take a look at whatever we are at the brink another crypto crash. In March 2020, the price of the Bitcoin was a little over $5,000. It's already lost its momentum back, and experts predict that it will slowly grow since then. To chase the financial industry, it's almost impossible unless the government is backing you. But something unexpected happened around that time. Suddenly, the future became uncertain. The global pandemic stopped the world from the funding around, and we had absolutely no idea how on earth we are going to get out of it. Investors panicked, sold their stocks, so the stock market dropped by over 30% in the less than a month. They couldn't even invest in the real estate because most people lost their jobs due to the pandemic. And it seems like they will not be able to pay their mortgage and the housing market will collapse. That's why they started buying gold because gold has always been the global currency of the world, and no matter what happens, gold will always hold value, so gold prices rose instantly. In a few months, they crossed the break-in record, almost the $2,100 per ounce. But something different was happening around at the same time. Cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, has already developed a reputation of being virtual gold. You might not be able to touch it, but there is a limited number of them, and it's backed but this huge network across the globe. So some investors turned to Bitcoin to protect their wealth in such uncertain times, which led Bitcoin price to rise. And finally, in the one time, the price crossed $11,000. But it wasn't just the price for the Bitcoin that was rising so significantly, but pretty much every other asset. The stock market was shooting through the roof. Real estate price grew by double digits. What do you think happened? The Fed understood that they are not going to act fast. This pandemic could get much worse in the 2008 crash. In 2008, it wasn't just the real estate market that collapsed, but rather it took down the banks, which since banks provided mortgage to those homeowners. On the top of that, banks sold the mortgage in the form of securities to investors. So when everything collapses, it took down with it banks, homeowners, and investors, and unfortunately the entire global economy. So the Fed says we are going to do whatever it takes in order to prevent such recessions like we had in 2008, and that meant printing money and buying corporate bonds. At first glance, it seems like how they're related to Bitcoin. It definitely helped the stocks market to rise faster than ever, but the Fed didn't do anything to boost Bitcoin. You see, when the government passed the stimulus bills and filled the economy with cash, a lot of people began to worry about inflation. More money in the economy means the real value of each dollar will decrease, which means holding cash was a bad idea. So investors were buying any kind of the assets to preserve their wealth, including Bitcoin. So Bitcoin prices instantly started rising, but they are a bit too fast and attracted speculators who wanted to profit from the rise of the assets, which is what usually happens when the certain assets start rising too fast. So between September and January, the price increased from $10,500 to almost $35,000 in less than 6 months. The price rose by over 220%. Everyone expected Bitcoin to crash, but then this what happened. Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoins, which boosted the demand through the roof. The news of Tesla investing in Bitcoin sent shock waves around the world, pushing more investors to buy Bitcoin. In less than the 2 months, doubled the price, and for the first time ever, Bitcoin crossed $60,000. To make things worse, Musk tweeted that not buying Tesla with Bitcoin. That gave a lot of legitimacy to Bitcoin, that made it even more popular. The real value of Bitcoin is its network. The fact that millions of the people use Bitcoin and it makes the financial transaction easier, but no one knows how much Bitcoin is really worth. It could be worth $1 per Bitcoin or $100,000 per Bitcoin. Everyone was his opinion, but the fact is the recent Bitcoin price spikes is driven by the people's fear of inflation. A bunch bunch of the speculators and some tweets by the king of memes, Elon Musk. Of course, there are a lot of the other factors that influenced the rise of Bitcoin, but what happens when the fear of inflation will go away, when the interest rates will be raised? There is a good chance that the demand for Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies will fall. Will drive away speculators, which will further drive the price down, which will scare off simple retail investors who wanted to profit from this spike. I personally believe that Tesla will sell its shares of Bitcoin once something like that is around in a corner. But that's my opinion, which could be entirely wrong. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin will drop to zero or it will drop is the pre-pandemic levels, but it will definitely drop. How big is that crash going to be? Well, only time will tell. But if you are the long-term investors, you shouldn't care, because personally I believe that cryptos have the future, despite all the challenges they have to go through, despite the fact that they are not going to replace fiat money, at least in the coming few decades. They still have a future because the world needs the decentralized financial systems. And now it's the time to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you to check the second channel called Boom Mers. If you are not posting here, I am definitely posting there. So if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely enjoy the second channel. See you there, thanks for watching, and until next time.